Welcome to another edition of Sports Junkies. Time to do some Packer football. I'm Sparky Fifer from Sports Radio 105.7 FM, The Fan. See my t-shirt?
You know what, by the way? Did you take this off at all this week? Didn't you wear that last week?
No.
Is this the same
fan
shirt?
I wore something else. I only have one. So it is the same one I wore
last week.
No, it's washed. It's still wrinkled. I didn't iron it. But
I'm going to have to move over a little bit.
He's Gery Woelfel of the Racine Journal-Times. We talk a little Packer football here. All right, the Packers rolling seemingly at this point. Let's talk a little bit about what happened last week. Now, again, last week we said it was going to be like the Vikings game. Stop the run, safety over the top of Mike Wallace. You beat the Miami Dolphins. They stopped the run. They did what they had to do. Tannehill got out and ran them a little bit. But for the most part, their defense played okay, I thought. In the second half, they got they got a little bit of a run against them.
That might have been one of the worst Mike McCarthy coach games I've ever seen.
No!
Without a doubt. Remember last week we were talking about, I really felt they were going to blow them off the map. They come out on the opening series, and they go down there like they're a high school team.
Pop, 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 pop.
And they totally exposed the Dolphins. Yeah. They had the Dolphins on their heels.
And you're going, it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm thinking, okay, Aaron Rodgers is going to throw for 400 yards.
Yeah.
The Dolphins don't have any kind of defensive backs. They traded their best defensive back a couple of years ago to the Colts. So I'm thinking, okay, McCarthy gets it. He's going to go for the knockout punch right away. All of a sudden, we got to let Eddie Lacy involved. Let's run on first down. They ran him on first down. And starts on first down and get 2-3 yards. All of a sudden, they'd go to the passing game. So what happens on the last drive when it's on the line? They go to the air again. Shocking. It's like, what is Mike McCarthy thinking? Maybe he had sympathy for Joe Philbin. I don't know.
You have to run the football.
Occasionally, exactly. But he was so predictable. He'd come down first down.
Okay, predictable. All right, fine. I'll go with you predictable as far as running on first down.
But you know what? And I like Eddie Lacy. I'm a big fan of Eddie Lacy's. I like how he augments Rodgers. But at the same time, when you demonstrate on your opening drive that you can pass against this team with basically...
Why go away from it?
Why go away from it? Until they show that they can stop it, okay, then mix it up. But he just got totally away from it. And if I was Rodgers, I'd say, hey, what's this about?
But there are positives. Positive, Davante Adams starting to come into his own a little bit.
Very impressive.
Rookie second-round pick, wide receiver, is starting to come into his own.
You know, and I was a big critic of Thompson, not for taking him. I didn't have a problem with him taking him. But there were 3 tight ends taken earlier in the second round, and all of them are looking like they're going to be good players. And I'm thinking, if they would have a legitimate tight end, I would say I'd pencil them in the Super Bowl right off the bat. They don't. I mean, Corliss caught the game-winning touchdown.
But
it was like, okay.
Nothing special.
Exactly. But throughout the whole game, their tight ends were non-existent.
Well, okay. But Davante Adams helps because he is more like James Jones. Physical receiver.
Oh, I like him a lot.
Okay. I like him.
Yeah.
He doesn't get this opportunity if Jared Boykin doesn't go down with the injury, okay? Mm-hmm. So he's getting the opportunity and taking advantage of it. Now Jared Boykin is back at practice this week and comes back. It will be interesting to see what role Jared Boykin will have if he plays this next game here.
Right.
Because will he come back and be that 3 receiver like he was before he got hurt, or is Davante Adams won that job and now he slides down to the 4 hole because of injury?
I think Davante Adams is without a doubt a better physical player. He's more athletic. But Boykin doesn't drop balls. I mean, the balls come his way. He catches them. So, I mean, you're balancing. Do you want a sure-handed receiver or do you want somebody that can be explosive,
Sure.
But Adams is very impressive.
The other person that we have been talking about after that game that has been brought up by everybody, there's been articles written on him, talk shows are talking about him, people are asking him questions about it. Clay Matthews has 1 sack for the year.
Mm-hmm.
He has 1. His numbers are down across the board in comparison to other years without question. Now, this is the conspiracy theory that I have. We want Clay Matthews to stay healthy in Green Bay. So we go to Clay and go, look, you don't have to play with your hair on fire.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go 100% all the time. You could bring it back down to 85% or whatever, save your hamstrings, save your groin area. I want you out there for the whole season. I don't want you out there for 12 playing with your hair on fire. I think maybe that's what's going on. Either that or he's dinged up and hurt and just not saying anything, which is a possibility because football players are tough, macho, and they'll play through injuries, which God bless them because there's no way I would. So from that perspective, I think it's one of those two scenarios. He just doesn't look as explosive as he has in the past. Now, Don Caper says, well, it's scheme, it's not all Clay. I don't think I'd buy that.
And I think teams are catching on to Clay Matthews. He's pretty much a one-trick pony.
This is a whole other thing. A producer from ESPN, which is, I'm trying to think of his Twitter handle, like the X's and O's life.
I know what you're talking about,
Tom Fennell or something like that.
Yeah.
He tweeted out from Clay Matthews, and he said, if you go back to his Super Bowl run, he had the spin move, he had the bull rush, he was able to get leverage underneath around the edge, and he says, where is that now? Yeah. You just don't see it anymore. None of that.
I agree with you to a certain extent. I mean, he is a pass-rushing linebacker. I think that's his game. When you run at Clay Matthews, you can have great success because he's not physically strong at the point of attack. I have seen offensive linemen just blow him to smithereens. The other thing that teams, like I said, are catching on to is he is so aggressive, he'll come after the quarterback. Well, what do? They send a wide receiver out in the flat, and they just throw a little dump-off pass. No linebacker, no coverage. Right. The Bears absolutely exposed him. With Forte. So Dressman knew what he's doing. That's the trouble when you have a super aggressive linebacker. He's prone to make mistakes like that.
The other thing is,
he'll make plays for you, but he'll also
you saw a couple of plays, too, that I can think of, where when Tannehill decided to run around the edge, Matthews had assignment to contain the outside edge, got sucked inside, and Tannehill ran right to that side.
Well, we saw that against Kaepernick. Same thing.
And now you have a read option, again, in Cam Newton, who is not easy to take down, big physical guy, could throw it better, in my opinion, than Kaepernick can for sure. That is going to be an issue. Now, Kelvin Benjamin, their top wide receiver, is going through the concussion protocol this week, so I don't know if he's going to be able to play. Jonathan Stewart, their running back, says he is playing it. He will start. He said he's ready to go. This is not going to be an easy assignment for this Packers defense.
No, it's not. Newton is getting better and better.
Rushed for 100 yards last week. He's getting healthier.
And I watched that game, and he ran the read really well.
Yep.
And the problem is, he looked like he's still bothered by his injury, okay?
Probably is.
All I can say is if he's healthy this week, the Packers are going to be in a world of trouble because that guy, if he has the speed, okay, because he is a big physical linebacker and he spots holes really well. I like Carolina. I think Carolina, everybody's talking about, and rightfully so, Seattle, San Francisco, Green Bay, Detroit,
Dallas,
Philadelphia. I'll tell you what, if there's a sleeper team in my mind, it's Carolina. I think they're getting better and better.
I just don't think you can.
I don't know if they're ready yet, but they're definitely on the right track.
This is my argument about Carolina.
Yeah.
They put all this into their defense, which has not been all that great this year. But they put all this into their defense, which last couple of years has been very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
But on offense, they don't give Cam Newton any weapons. For example, Mike Wallace goes out on a free agency. Where was Carolina in that?
Well,
Miami goes against Mike Wallace. Can you imagine having Mike Wallace and Steve Smith side by side at Carolina the last couple of years?
Well, they made a major mistake letting Steve Smith go.
Right, but they could have had them both together.
I understand, but if they'd had Steve Smith now, they could really.
Steve Smith, I think, was sick of losing. I think that was part of it.
Something. I'll tell you, the guy that I think is really, really good is Luke Kuechly.
Oh, the linebacker, yeah.
I think he's one of the top 5 players in the NFL.
Well, players? Well, he's definitely one of the top linebackers.
Because he plays in Carolina, he kind of gets lost in the shuffle. But I've seen a couple games. He is a flat-out tackling machine.
Sure.
He goes from side to side. If the Packers had him, again, we were talking about having a tight end, I'd put him in the Super Bowl because they could have one surefire linebacker who could tackle on a regular basis.
You talk about the Packers' defensive side of the ball again. They may be without both their starting cornerbacks. It doesn't sound like Shields is going to play. Tremont seems to think he might be able to play. But if they don't play, now all of a sudden you're looking at back there, and it's Devon House and Casey Hayward starting at corners.
Mm-hmm.
Micah Hyde, most people believe, will end up being the nickel corner, with Clinton Dix still staying back at safety. Okay, fine. The good thing is it's Carolina and not the Saints who's coming up.
Exactly.
You can get through this week. You can get through this week.
Absolutely.
But you better have them both, the Shields and Tremont, back for that Saints game.
No question. You are absolutely correct. Unfortunately for the Packers, too, I think the strength of their team from a depth standpoint is their secondary. Like you mentioned.
Safety plays improved.
Hyde, all those guys. Hyde's done well. Casey Hayward's done well.
I'm not a big Micah Hyde fan, but
he's not bad.
He's not bad
for a guy coming off the bench. I think collectively that secondary group, just a couple years ago, was god awful. Has suddenly become the strength of that team.
Yeah, Yeah, I just
outside of Aaron Rodgers.
And Hawk has played better too. I mean, the last couple of weeks since Lattimore's been next to him, he's played better. And Lattimore back at practice, thank God, because Brad Jones is bad. God, he had to play good last week. I know he made a tackle in the backfield, woohoo! But the rest of the game, awful.
You know what was beautiful? Remember that pass down the middle, and Jones is trailing, hits him in the back of the helmet. And the announcers are going gaga, like, what a great defensive play. He didn't even know the ball was coming.
Well, that's all right.
I mean, I do give him credit for
Stop the ball however you can.
Yeah,
It doesn't
exactly.
matter to me.
Yeah.
All right, your pick for the Carolina game.
Packers, close game. But it's going to be close. Carolina's not a bad team at all. They went. Who did they play last week? Cincinnati?
Yeah,
I think they went in Cincinnati, and they played well, and I expect them to go to Green Bay and play well.
Yeah, I think the Packers would too. I agree with you. I think it'll be a close game. I think both teams will score some points too, a bunch of points. Probably both teams in the 20s, maybe to the 30s. I think it could be a shootout. He is Gery Woelfel of the Racine Journal-Times. See Sparky Fifer from Sports Radio 105.7 FM, The Fan, coast of the Wendy's Big Show weekday afternoons from 2 to 6. We'll talk to you next time here at RacineSportsZone.com.